The corridor was silent. Too silent. Dr. Elias Gray moved slowly, his boots echoing against the cold metal floor. The emergency lights flickered, casting long, broken shadows. The ship was a wreck. Wires hung from the ceiling like dead vines. Smoke filled the air. Mixed with the sharp scent of burning plastic and blood, he wasn't supposed to be here. The rescue team had already left. The command said the alien refugee vessel was too far gone, but Elias stayed behind. Something felt wrong, then he heard it. A small voice, faint, broken. Please. He turned. Please fix my mom. The voice was coming from a dark corner near the end of the corridor. Elias followed it. Slowly, carefully, he saw her then, a little girl, barefoot. Shaking, eyes wide with fear and tears. She wasn't human. Her skin was a soft blue, and her hair was like silver threads. Her ears were long and pointed. Her clothes were torn, too big for her tiny frame. She looked no older than 5. She held her hands close to her chest and looked up at Elias. Please. She won't stop shaking. Elias crouched down. Where is your mom? The girl didn't speak. She turned and ran down the hallway. Elias followed without thinking. Every step he took echoed louder, like the ship itself was groaning. The deeper he went, the darker it became. Emergency lights had stopped here. Only the girl's faint glow guided him. They reached a broken doorway. Inside was what looked like a small medical bay, destroyed by an explosion. Equipment was scattered. Beds flipped. Blood smeared across the walls, and on one bed lay her. The mother, she was much taller than the child. Her skin the same shade of soft blue. Her body twisted in pain, her limbs jerking uncontrollably. Her eyes were half open, and foam spilled from her mouth. She was burning with fever, and her body kept shaking violently. Elias rushed forward. He grabbed a metal case from the floor. Inside were old medical tools, half broken, half rusted. I need light. He shouted. The girl ran to a corner and grabbed a small lamp. She held it with both hands, lifting it over her mother. Elias checked. The woman's pulse, weak to weak. Her nervous system's collapsing. He muttered to himself, but why? He checked her eyes, then opened a portable scanner from his suit. The screen blinked red. Unknown biology detected. No compatible records. Elias cursed under his breath. He had never treated an alien like her before. The girl's voice broke his focus. She just started shaking yesterday. Then she couldn't talk. Then she just screamed. Elias looked at the child. What's your name? The girl blinked. Luma. He nodded. Okay, Luma, I'm going to try. I don't promise anything, but I'll try. She nodded quickly, her eyes begging. Elias began his work. He attached sensors, improvised a stabilizer using broken wires and a liquid cooling tube. His hands moved fast, precise. This wasn't just about medical knowledge now, it was about instinct. And time was running out. Luma stood by her mother, holding the light, even when her small arms trembled. She didn't cry anymore. Stared at Elias like he was her last hope. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Suddenly, the woman's body jerked one last time. Man stopped. The monitor flatlined. No. Elias whispered. No, 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 don't do this. He grabbed 2 small metal plates, slapped them on her chest, and yelled, clear. A shock. No response. He tried again. Still nothing. Luma dropped the light and ran to her mother. Wake up, please. Mommy, wake up. Elias gritted his teeth. One more. He shocked her again. Nothing. Luma sobbed louder. She pressed her face to her mother's chest. Then a pulse, dot, beep, just one. Then another and another. Elias looked at the screen. The rhythm was slow, but steady. "She's alive," Luma gasped. Her mother opened her eyes, just a little. Elias let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. He turned to Luma. "She's not safe yet, but she's alive." The girl smiled through tears. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the ship. "Warning, biothreat detected. All unauthorized personnel. Evacuate." Elias's eyes widened. "They're going to sterilize the ship." He looked at Luma. "They'll kill everyone still on board." Luma clung to him. "Please, don't leave us." Elias stood. He had a choice: stay and fight for two strangers, or leave and live. He looked at the trembling alien child and knew what he had to do. The ship groaned again, louder this time. Red lights flashed above, and the warning repeated. "Biothreat detected. Sterilization begins in 15 minutes." Dr. Elias knew what that meant. The command center would release gas and fire through the lower decks, burning out anything they thought was contaminated. It wouldn't matter if the ones inside were sick or still alive. He looked down at the shaking alien woman and the frightened child clinging to her mother's side. They had no chance. Not without help. Not unless. Elias broke every rule he had sworn to follow. He pressed his earpiece. Elias Gray, requesting override on Deck 17 sterilization. "I have 2 survivors, 1 critical." Cold voice replied. "Request denied. Non-human biological readings. Deck must be purged. Exit immediately." "I said I have 2 living beings down here. One of them's a child. Human safety takes priority. 5 minutes until lockdown." The call ended. Elias stared at the comm. They had already made their choice. Now it was his turn. He knelt beside the mother. Her body was still trembling, weaker now. She couldn't speak, but her eyes were open. Barely. "Luma," he said softly, turning to the girl. "We can't. Stay here. If we do, your mom will die, and so will you." Luma's voice was small. "She can't walk. I know. I can't carry her." "I know that too." Caius placed one arm under the mother's shoulders, one under her knees, and slowly lifted her. She was tall and heavier than she looked, but her body was limp. "I've got her," Elias said. Luma ran ahead, guiding him through the dim corridor. The ship was getting hotter now. The fire systems were starting. He could smell it burning. Gas pressure building in the vents. They had minutes. The only way out was through the biomed wing. A section he remembered from the ship's old maps. It had containment pods, some of them emergency grade. If they could reach one, it might protect them from the purge. But the path wasn't easy. Pipes blocked the hallway. Debris filled the floor. As they turned a corner, a pipe burst with steam, nearly hitting Luma. Elias shouted, "Stay close." She nodded and grabbed his coat. Running beside him, they finally reached the medwing door, but it was locked. Damaged. Elias set the mother down gently. "Hold her," he said to Luma. Then he grabbed a wrench from the wall and smashed the control. Panel sparks flew. The screen cracked. He yanked open the panel, pulled 2 wires, and touched them together. Nothing again. Then clicked, the door creaked open. They rushed in. Inside was dark, dusty and quiet. Medical pods lined the walls. Most were empty. One was cracked open, its glass shattered. Another still had power. Elias moved fast. He placed the alien mother inside the working pod. Her body twitched as the scanner activated. The screen blinked. Again. Unrecognized lifeform nitrogen monoxide. He swore under his breath. "Come on." He manually overrode the system and selected tissue stabilization. It was risky, not meant for this species. That was all he had. The pod hissed. Cool vapor filled the inside. The shaking slowed just a little. Luma placed her small hand on the glass. She's not shaking as much. She's not safe yet, Elias said. But it's helping. Then the room speaker clicked on. 3 minutes to sterilization. Evacuate now. Luma looked up at Elias. Why are they doing this? He crouched beside her. They don't understand. They think you're dangerous or already dead. But I'm not. I know. Then why? Elias didn't answer. Instead, he stood and searched the cabinets. He found an old med scanner. It looked ancient, but still working. He scanned. Luma, what he saw made his eyes widen. Her biology wasn't just alien, it was mixed, partly humanoid, partly something else. Something ancient. That's why the systems didn't recognize her. Or her mother. They weren't just refugees. They were not of this world. The fire didn't come. Not yet. Instead, something worse arrived. The sound of boots, metal against metal. Sharp, heavy. Elias froze, outside the medwing. Shadows moved across the shattered glass. A red light blinked above the door. The sterilization. Countdown had stopped, but not because someone had mercy. They had sent soldiers instead. Cleanup units, Elias whispered. Luma, hide. The little girl's eyes widened. She clutched her mother's pod. I don't want to leave her. You won't. Just crawl under the table. Don't make a sound. She obeyed, her small feet padding quickly across the room. She ducked behind. A broken med bed curling up like a frightened animal. Elias stood in front of the pod. His mind raced. He had no weapons, no authority. No proof the woman and child were safe to keep alive. But he knew what would happen if he moved aside. The door slid open with a hiss. 3 armored soldiers stepped in. Their faces were hidden behind black visors. Their suits had red patches. Hazard. Protocol unit, one of them raised a scanner. Biological contamination confirmed. Orders are to cleanse the area. Elias didn't move. She's stable, he said, and the child is not infected. The lead soldier didn't care. They're non-human. Protocol is clear. Protocols aren't life, Elias replied, his voice hardening. She's a mother, and she's recovering. You're going to kill a child too. A pause. The second soldier raised his weapon. Step aside, doctor. But Elias didn't step aside. He took one slow step forward. Then you'll have to shoot me first. A strange silence filled the room. The third soldier lowered his weapon a little. Why are you risking your life for them? Elias glanced at the pod. Because no one else will. He reached into his coat and pulled out the scanner he used. Earlier, he tossed it to the soldiers. Scan the girl's DNA. You'll find something interesting. The lead soldier looked at it, then motioned. Bring the child. Luma trembled, but stepped out. Her tiny body stood behind Elias. The soldier scanned her. The screen beeped, blinking. Human markers. Partially integrated. What is this? She's mixed, Elias said. Probably part of an old genetic program, maybe even connected to the first contact species. Impossible, is it? Elias raised an eyebrow. Because if what's in her blood is real, then killing her could mean war with whoever made her. Or maybe she's the key to saving others like her. The soldiers looked at each other. Finally, the lead one lowered his weapon. You'll be held responsible for what happens next. I accept that, Elias said. They backed out. The door closed again. Luma ran and hugged Elias's leg, shaking but silent. You didn't let them take us, she whispered. I won't ever, Elias replied. He turned back to the pod. The mother's breathing was steadier now, her shaking reduced. She looked like she might survive the night, but something else troubled Elias. Now, the readings from Luma's scan. There were markers in her blood known, ancient, and possibly engineered. Someone made her. But why, and for what purpose? He sat down, tired, but his mind still racing. Elias had chosen to stay behind when others ran. He had broken every rule, disobeyed command, and threatened soldiers with nothing but his voice. And somehow, he didn't regret it, because in that quiet, broken room with a child beside him and a mother healing inside a pod, he finally felt human again. She started bleeding from the eyes. Elias saw it just after the soldiers left. The alien woman, still trapped inside the medical pod, suddenly tensed, her back arched, her mouth opened, and a faint cry escaped her throat. Then thin, dark blue lines ran down from her eyes. Elias rushed to her side. No, no. What's happening now? Luma screamed. Mommy. Elias grabbed the scanner again. The vitals had changed drastically. Her organs were now failing one by one. Her heart was slowing. Brain activity was fading. The pod wasn't stabilizing her anymore. It was only keeping her warm while she died. He pounded the glass. You were healing. Why now? Luma looked up at him with her hands clenched. Fix her, please. You said you wouldn't leave us. I'm not leaving her, Elias said through gritted teeth. But this is beyond anything I've seen. He opened the pod. A wave of heat rushed out natural, almost like radiation. Her body wasn't overheating. It was evolving, mutating, but in a bad way. Her systems were trying to adapt. But something was collapsing inside. I need a lab, Elias muttered. I need tools, but I have none. He looked around the med bay, scanning the shelves. Old stasis injectors, metal tubing, cracked vials, a broken autosurgeon. He had nothing, unless he ran to a supply case and began building. Tubing from oxygen lines, its power from a broken defibrillator, medical fluid from the broken injectors, a cooling gel used for burns. He poured it all together into a metal tray and connected it to a modified injector. What are you doing? Luma asked. I'm building something that doesn't exist, Elias replied. A cure? A hope. He returned to the pod. The mother was barely breathing now. Elias felt for her pulse weak, almost gone. Luma, I need you to do something very brave. She nodded, eyes wide. I need you to hold this light right above your mom's chest. Don't let it move. Can you do that? Yes. She took the small lamp and climbed onto a stool. Her tiny hands steady despite her fear. Elias opened a narrow section of her mother's chest where a main artery pulsed faintly. He inserted the injector. Please work. The fluid entered. Her bloodstream, her body jerked. Lights in the room flickered. Luma screamed. But Elias didn't stop. He pushed more of the mix into her veins. Her eyes shot open, wild and glowing. She gasped. Then she stilled. Elias stepped back. Did it? She blinked. Her hands no longer twitched. Her breathing leveled. She looked at Luma, double quotes, ... my baby. Her voice was weak, barely more than a whisper. But it was real. Luma dropped the light and jumped into her arms, sobbing. Elias exhaled in relief and leaned against the wall. His legs almost gave out. You did it, Luma cried, hugging her mother tightly. You fixed her. No, Elias said with a tired smile. We did. But he knew this wasn't the end, only the beginning, because what had just happened to the mother wasn't natural healing. It was a forced transformation, and deep inside, Elias's scanner still blinking redwise, a warning he hadn't told Luma yet. Subject DNA is rapidly altering. Unknown catalyst detected. Source, the child. She sat up and screamed. It was not a scream of pain. It was something ancient. The alien mother's body lifted from the pod. Her eyes glowing white, her skin shifting like liquid beneath the surface. Her veins pulsed with light blue and silver, and her fingers crackled with invisible energy. Luma backed away, terrified. "Mommy." Elias stood frozen, unsure whether to stop her or protect the child. The pod exploded behind her. Glass shattered. Machines sparked. Then, silence. She collapsed into Elias's arms, unconscious again. He slowly laid her down on the floor. Her breathing was steady. Her skin had changed, slightly more vibrant, more alive. But what scared him most was the scanner still blinking. Genetic instability subject transitioning. Danger level unknown. He stared at Luma. "You said she started shaking yesterday." Luma nodded. "Yes, after we escaped the labs." "What labs?" "The ones that made me," she whispered, her voice trembling. "They made me different." Elias's stomach turned. Luma wasn't just half human. She was the trigger. Her presence, her DNA, her touch it, had caused the woman's body to mutate, to evolve, and the process wasn't finished. Suddenly, the door behind them opened again. Not soldiers this time. A tall woman in a white uniform stepped inside. Her skin was metallic gray, and her eyes glowed red. "A synthetic Dr. Elias Gray," she said. "You are under arrest for biological interference." He stood in front of Luma and her mother. "You'll have to go through me." "I don't need to," the synthetic replied calmly. "The one you just healed, she carries something inside her now. Something we've seen before." "What is it?" Elias asked. The synthetic tilted her head. "She's no longer just a mother, she's a signal, a weapon, a carrier of ancient energy that can rewrite life itself." Elias's voice dropped. "You're lying." "We've seen it once," she said. "It's wiped out an entire moon colony in under 2 hours." Elias looked down at the woman who had only just come back to life, and at the child now hiding behind him. He shook his head. "No, she's not a weapon. She's a mother." The synthetic raised her hand and pointed to Luma. "No, she's the weapon. And she doesn't even know it." The lights flickered. The mother stirred again, and Luma reached out, grabbing Elias's hand. "I don't want to hurt anyone," she whispered. "I know," he said, "but someone's coming to make sure you do." The little girl started glowing, not bright, not loud, but soft like moonlight trapped under her skin. "Why is everyone afraid of me?" Luma whispered, looking at her tiny hands. "Ah, I didn't do anything." Elias dropped to one knee beside her, placing a hand over hers. "You're not the danger, Luma. The ones who want to control you are." Behind them, the synthetic stepped closer. "I've called for a containment ship," she said calmly. "The girl will be taken for testing. The mother, too." Elias stood slowly, shielding Luma behind him. "Over my dead body, that is acceptable," the synthetic replied. She raised her hand, fingers reshaping into a weapon. Suddenly, the mother gasped and opened her eyes, this time fully awake. Her gaze landed on her daughter, then Elias, then the synthetic. Her voice was low, hoarse. "Run." Elias grabbed Luma's hand and bolted toward the back wall, kicking open a utility panel he had spotted earlier. Behind it, a narrow tunnel led into the old maintenance shafts, dark, small, and half-broken. "No one escapes protocol command." The synthetic's voice echoed behind them. But Elias and Luma had already disappeared into the dark. He carried a light stick in one hand, Luma in the other. The girl looked back. "What about my mom?" "She's buying us time," Elias said, breathing hard. "But we'll come back for her. I promise." The tunnel twisted downward. Water dripped from rusted pipes. The air was cold and stale. "She was different," Luma whispered. "She changed. That means so will I." Elias stopped for a moment. "I don't think you're dangerous, Luma," he said. I think you're rare. Special, but someone wanted you to think you were a curse. She looked up at him, scared. Then why did they make me? Elias didn't have an answer. They pushed forward, squeezing through broken pipes, crawling over debris. Twice they had to double back to avoid collapsed sections. Time felt slow and fast at once. The only sounds were the girl's soft breathing and Elias's boots hitting metal. Then a hatch dotted opened into a forgotten cargo. Bay dot inside was an old shuttle, dusty, covered in cables, but not destroyed. Elias rushed forward and began scanning the controls. Still powered, still able to fly. This is our way out, he said. Luma climbed into the seat beside him, staring out the broken window. Then her eyes widened. The synthetic was standing at the far end of the bay still. Silent. Elias started the engines. The shuttle roared. She's going to shoot, Luma whispered. Then let her try. The engines screamed to life. The synthetic stepped forward and raised her hand. But she stopped. The alien mother stepped into view behind her, standing tall despite her weakness. Her arms crackled with glowing veins. Her eyes no longer just blue but white-hot stars. The synthetic hesitated. The mother spoke one word. Go. The shuttle launched forward, knocking crates aside as it lifted into the air, smashing through the bay doors and soaring into the black sky. Luma looked out the window, eyes full of tears. She stayed behind. Elias gripped the controls. His voice steady. She saved us. But neither of them noticed the blinking red light on the dashboard. Life form signature detected aboard status. Unknown. The stars outside the window didn't move fast enough. Luma sat curled in the co-pilot's seat. Her knees pulled to her chest, eyes fixed on the dark sky. She whispered, "Do stars feel lonely too?" Elias didn't answer right away. He was scanning the shuttle's systems, watching the red warning light blink again and again. He finally said, "Sometimes, even stars die alone, but they light up the whole galaxy before they do." Luma nodded, resting her cheek on her knees. "Like my mom." Elias paused. "She's not gone, Luma. But she didn't come with us. She stayed. To protect you. That's not the same as being gone." The blinking red light caught his eye again. Unknown life form detected. Location, med bay compartment. He stood up quickly and told Luma, "Stay here." As he opened the back hatch, a soft humming filled the air. The med bay was dark, filled with old crates and flickering lights. He raised his flashlight and gasped. She was there. The alien mother barely breathing. Lying against a wall, she had somehow grabbed onto the shuttle's undercarriage during takeoff, pulled herself inside, and collapsed in the bay. Elias rushed to her side. How did you?" She opened one eye. "You said you'd come back." He helped her gently into the medbay bed. Kea, her pulse was weak, but steady. The strange glow in her veins had faded calmer now. Luma peeked in from the doorway. "Mommy." "Ow." Her mother turned her head, a smile forming. "My star." The girl ran into her arms, crying softly. Elias watched, heart full and heavy. He had saved lives, broken rules, risked everything. And he would do it again. But questions still haunted him. Who created Luma? Why was her DNA able to heal, transform, and possibly destroy? What had the synthetic meant by weapon? The mother, sensing his worry, looked at him and said, "We're not weapons, or what's left of something older than fear." Elias frowned. "Older than fear." She nodded. "Love." Outside, the stars grew brighter. The shuttle flew away from the burning wreckage of a forgotten warship, toward safety, toward a future for three souls that had no one, but now had each other. For the first time in a long time, Elias smiled. because sometimes the greatest lifeline in the universe is simply the choice to care.